very happy to report that the Council of Ministers has approved the grant agreement on the Emergency Debris Management Project. This important project provides $25 million in financing to clean up the island, put out fires on the dump, and remove the remaining shipwrecks in the Simpson Bay Lagoon. As part of the project, the government also seeks to close down the Irma dump and manage the landfill more effectively. Prior to the official signing of the grant agreement, the government is taking several steps to prepare the fire suppression activities that are part of the Emergency Debris Management Project. The government has also adopted measures to improve the current management of the dump site. The Minister of VROMI will further elucidate this morning when addressed. On the preparation of the fire suppression activities, I would like to highlight that the government is currently conducting a survey in the neighborhood next to the landfill to prepare possible solutions for relocation of the people living in the area. This survey is necessary to prepare for the fire suppression activities that will address the subsurface fires on the landfill. Dump fires and related smoke have been a major concern for the people living in the area and the wider community of St. Martin. We need to get these fires under control, and with the help of the World Bank, we can finally resolve the problem once and for all. Due to the fires on the landfill, there are risks for persons living in the area right next to the landfill, especially once the fire suppression activities start. The government is therefore looking into options for closing off part of the neighborhood. In working with the World Bank, the government is committed to comprehensive safety and security standards and is asking residents for their full cooperation with the survey. On another note, this week the government is welcoming several missions of the World Bank and also the European Investment Bank on the island. They will be working with the Interim Recovery Committee, the ministries, and other key stakeholders on Emergency Recovery Project 1, the upcoming Enterprise Recovery Project, and the Airport Reconstruction Project. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the staff of the World Bank, the European Investment Bank, and the Interim Recovery Committee for their commitment to bringing these and other important projects forward. I would also like to encourage all interested parties once again to keep a close eye on the announcements of the tenders. There are several tenders open on goods, works, and services. This includes tenders for a new fire truck and a roof repair works, but also advertisements for an engineer, communication officer, and a project manager that will support the Interim Recovery Committee. All necessary information on these and other tenders can be found on the government's website under the National Recovery tab and on Facebook on the National Recovery Program Bureau. Tenders are also published on the government's information page in the Daily Herald. Concerning the sale and purchase agreement of Scotiabank by the Republic Bank of Trinidad, I hereby inform that the management of Scotiabank has requested a postponement of the meeting that was scheduled on December 7th with government and the central bank. A new meeting with all stakeholders will convene at a later date in early 2019. And lastly, by way of this press briefing, I would like to clarify the miscommunication concerning the Council of Ministers recess from Monday, December 24th until December 8th, 2019. Let me emphasize that the day-to-day operations of government will continue as customary, and the ministers will continue to carry out their individual tasks. In order to avoid the end-of-the-year rush of advices, the Council of Ministers decided to be proactive and informed the civil service on November 21st, 2018 via an internal email or memo to submit all their pending advices before, especially considering the holidays. As it is commonly known, the Council of Ministers holds its weekly meetings every Tuesday and, when necessary, continues on Thursday. The next 2 Tuesdays following December 18th are the 25th, which is Christmas Day, and January 1st, which is New Year's Day. Thus, no meetings of the Council of Ministers can be held unless it's an emergency. Government will open on January 2nd, 2019. In the spirit of transparency, we believe it is necessary to inform the public at large and clarify any miscommunication and/or misinterpretation. Please note that a majority of ministers will be on the island and available to meet should any emergency arise. Any minister taking vacation during this period must avail themselves when necessary.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
Tell them, connecting you.
Okay, the University of St. Martin, in conjunction with the St. Martin Anti-Poverty Platform, will commemorate what is identified as Kingdom Day, the day that upon which the statute, the Kingdom Statute, was created, in order to open a public dialogue on what is going on within the kingdom. Sometimes, here in our daily lives, we're so busy making ends meet. I'm talking individually as well as institutionally, and we know the problems that the government have, the financial difficulties that exist. Everyone in St. Martin is trying to survive, trying to make it through the day. We thought that we should take advantage of this day. We should look at this day, the Kingdom Day, and really provide an opportunity for our civil society to reflect upon the social, economic, and political relations that exist between St. Martin, the country St. Martin, within the kingdom, looking towards our neighbors, but also looking directly towards The Hague. And the question that we pose is, what have we achieved in all this time since the statute? Since this document, what advantages do we have there, and what are the possibilities for improving not only relations among the government, but improving the lives of St. Martiners?
So this session, I think it will be more or less a dialogue whereby persons will be able to at least assess the situation from then until now. But from what time do you start?
We start at 10 o'clock. The activity will be from 10 till 1. Doors will open at 9:30. The day will be organized in 2 panels. We'll have one panel that deals with political and civil rights within the kingdom, and the other more on the social economic aspects of our kingdom relations. We think that these 2 are the most important because they are the least discussed in the local media and in politics itself. The politicians and the parliamentarians are busy looking at details of budget. Saturday is a day that we invite the government, we invite the governor, we invite all of civil society, different groups, church groups, groups of the organized elderly, trade unions, different groups here, our students, our faculty and staff, to think broader, to think to look at the big picture, if you will, of what is that relationship, what is that particular relationship that we have between St. Martin and the Netherlands.
Well, first of all, we have to thank, of course, the university providing this platform that we can think about how can we move forward, how can we eradicate poverty, and how can we get actually, as was the intention of the kingdom, in signing the charter of the kingdom. The idea was that the different former colonies became more equal, and that concept of providing more equality, more self-governance, more possibilities for us to develop and for us to have our right to development implemented is a possibility of reflect upon it, how far have we reached, and how can we improve what we actually have been fighting for. As you know, we were in Parliament last week, where we have tried to explain to our elected representatives that if you want to address the poverty that we have been seeing with figures is very unequal in the kingdom, no one should be in poverty because that's a violation of their human rights. And as yesterday was the day that the world, everybody had to think about 70 years already that we have a universal declaration on human rights. And that even our Prime Minister came out with a very good and very thought-provoking speech where she actually encouraged everyone in the society to think more on the realization of these rights, and especially the 3 rights that she mentioned that spoke for her. And we think that was very well chosen because it was exactly that Article 2, for instance, even though we are all created equal, that we see that in the reality we are not getting that equality. And even though that we have a different status in the kingdom, being a country in the kingdom, you see that we are not getting the same equality. And even though that, for instance, say Bastacia and Bonaire became a part of the Netherlands, you see that there is still no social equality, and that even the social minima, they cannot decide to address that in the second chamber for the people to get the same treatment in the kingdom. And so this is a good moment to reflect upon, hey, the United Nations have codified that we all should strive to get the human rights implemented. So with the panels of coming Saturday, we will see that, okay, this is a start for us to fundamentally reflect upon, we have human rights, how have we in the kingdom implemented those rights? Are there things that we have to achieve still? If we look, for instance, at the democratic deficit in the kingdom, one of the panelists will be addressing.
Hey ma, how you doing? You busy?
I hear, just paying some bills, taking care of business, you know what it is?
I know, you're doing your online banking.
I don't have to stand in those long lines to pay bills. I can transfer when I want. I can check my account wherever. It's like the bank open 24/7. I even here checking the statement right now as we're talking. How's Miami?
Well, that's why I'm calling. I'm finishing up a few songs now, but I'm afraid that studio time might be more than I thought. And I was wondering if I could get some help with some funds, and I could pay you back as soon as I get back to St. Martin.
Let me check my account. How much you need?
I think 500 should be enough.
I can transfer it to you while online. Direct from me to you. No problem.
Great. Thank you so much, Ma. I'll get online with Viv now.
Alright, darling. You know who you're for?
I need to know who you're for.
Contact Wib today for your complete personal online banking experience. Available for all mobile devices. The Wynwood Islands Bank, now your online banking partner in progress.
Who you're for.
That St. Martin's government and the United Nations goal of eradicating poverty by 2030, that we see something more concrete. Statistics continue to be discussed as something that's missing, and we will definitely be holding government accountable to that. Creating more homes is mentioned in their governing program, as well as economic development, improving on that. And I am not seeing it in my pre-scan of the budget, in how it would be possible. Because based on also what the Minister of Finance said yesterday, he presented a budget that is way over what the CFT recommends. So will we then have a discussion on a budget and then he'll bring an amendment to that budget or pull it back? Or this pullback now from last week and not hearing anything from Parliament as to when it will be rescheduled will solely depend on when CFT gives him the go-ahead with what amount of funds he can or cannot project in the budget. So that leaves, in terms of preparing for the budget, leaves us with a lot of questions. Prepare for this budget of 500 and plus thousand guilders, or the one that will come with a cut of 27 or 25 million guilders. It's very, very difficult because already within this one, you're not seeing what you need to see for that building back better to take place within any time soon. So for me, it is very, very important that we as members of Parliament, though in the minority, keep a keen eye and keep these topics high in the minds and thoughts of the general public, because this is what they are crying out about. Today we had a question hour that was called by our MP, Doran, pertaining to the calibration, whether there is one at the Department of Economic Affairs, how many people are working there, whether they are trained, whether they are qualified, etc., etc. The format of those meetings, I think, really need to be tweaked, because after the MP asked his questions, the minister answered briefly, he had one more, and then I asked 4 questions, of which they weren't all answered, and then there was a reluctance from the chair for me to even request the question that was not answered properly at all to be answered. And then afterward, we got a better elaboration when the meeting was closed on the real answers to the questions. So I'm like, what is the goal of a question hour if it is so strictly policed that members of Parliament cannot elaborate on questions that have not been properly answered or not clearly answered, and you leave the meeting, I'm sure the people who listen to the meeting, with questions as to what? There are no fines if people are found to be repeatedly having issues with their calibration or the equipment that they use to weigh and measure stuff that we as consumers are using, and after they elucidated when the meeting was closed, that is when we got a better picture of how really these things work. So we do have this as an agenda point in a meeting that we've requested, a sub-agenda point, as a matter of fact. And so there are several pending meetings which we discussed earlier this week as a faction, and no idea as to when these meetings will be convened.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
Today I join with the Prime Minister, Romeo Marlin, in expressing my pleasure in the approval of the grant agreement for the Emergency Debris Management Project. With the signing of the agreement, months of preparation and planning can now turn into execution. Though I want to stress that while this will not be a 1, 2, 3 process, the signing of the grant agreement is an important milestone that needs to be recognized. I also think that it is important to highlight some of the measures taken by the Ministry of Rummy in advance of the grant agreement, which are to improve the management and carrying out of the works on the dump, whereas 2 days ago, the tender for the new management of the landfill was launched. This tender document has been heavily vetted to ensure that the broad scope of the work has been incorporated. This includes, among other things, the monitoring and registration of incoming waste streams, providing fire suppression support and coordination, maintaining access roads and boundary fencing of the landfill, emergency response on demand, daily coordination of the activities on the landfill, and all other relevant activities. Already put into place at the landfill by the ministry is 24/7 security that controls the landfill's access. Also launched in recent weeks have been tenders for vital equipment including a bulldozer, landfill compactor, the waste scale, and a water truck. As the work continues to move along, the community will be continually updated on all progress.
So my first question is for the Minister of Education, and it has to do with the library. It's a two-part question. The first part is, you never completed a statement of what happened after the containers were offered to the library board. And the second part is, will those be put at the current location, and will the new library building Heritage Center be in that new location? Because there was talk in the past of moving the library off of that land at Voga Street onto another location.
As far as the containers are concerned, they were offered to the board. The board did get back to the ministry about the number of containers, and I believe that they're busy with a plan as to how to utilize these containers. I'm pretty sure that they would be placed on the land where the library currently is located.